guest, Sandra Izsadore. Who was gracious enough to come out tonight. Ade James has been producing African programs for many, many years, 10 years at KCRW. So I'm just going to start, Sandra, with you. We all know what Fela learned from you, but what was the most important thing that you learned from Fela? In 1,000 words or less.
Whoa. Generosity. One word. Generosity.
Okay. Anything else?
He was an amazing person. Fela was an amazing man. From the day that I first met him, my life has not been the same. That's the least I can say. After meeting Fela, I didn't have a normal life. And, you know, even my husband, you know, sometimes I think about my husband who's in the Netherlands right now. The poor man didn't know what he was getting into.
He's tortured.
No.
He's brilliant too.
Yes. I mean, he's a special man to be with a woman, you know, with my past, I would say. Which I don't think is really bad. I think it's a really good pass, you know. Yeah.
Amazing.
Did Fela know anything about politics when he met you? He came from an upper crust family.
No, because Fela was totally colonial mentality. And what I learned is that what colonialism did in Africa is far worse than what slavery did in America. So we are the lucky ones. You know, I know it doesn't sound all that great, but you know, I've evolved to this point where in the universe, I don't think there's anything bad, because I mean, there's some bad experiences, there's some horrible things that take place, but then when you look back, out of that negative is a very positive thing that happens. So we all need to change our mindset just a bit.
Ade, when did you discover the music of Fela Kuti? How old were you? Where were you? Etc.
Well, I discovered Fela first before I discovered the music. Let me say this, because this never gets emphasized about Fela. Amidst the chaos, the radicalism, the rascality, there's a point that I like to make that has stayed with me for a long time. We tend to overlook the humanitarian side of Fela. Fela was a genuine humanitarian. The Republic, the Kalakuta Republic, I'm going to answer your question, Tom, but let me quickly emphasize this. The Kalakuta Republic was like a, what's the word I'm looking for? A getaway, a station where runaways, a meeting point for runaways. A lot of girls ran away and found their way to Kalakuta Republic.
Not just girls.
Not just girls. But girls tend to run away more than guys.
Guys they had a reason.
Guys leave for economic reasons.
The girls ran away for a reason. A lot of those women inside of Kalakuta, after I was there, and at the very first Kalakuta, 14A, Agege Motor Road, yes. A lot of those young girls ran away because they had this thing called a clitorectomy, where these girls were running away from conditions and cultural things that were not, I would say, fair to women. In my naivety, you know, when the girls came to me and they wanted to know if women had their clitorises cut. Oh, I know this is a bold thing to be talking about. Their clitorises cut she wanted to know if this is a practice that happened in America. Well, me, you know, I'm thinking, well, gee whiz, if they're cutting the clitoris, they must be cutting around so it can come up so the woman can have more feeling, not knowing that they were destroying. So that was the ignorance that I had and the naivety. So the young girls that were there, they were there running away from something. Now, what else did you want to say?
No. No, I totally disagree with Sandra.
You didn't live inside of Kalakuta.
Sandra, okay.
Ade has the floor now.
Let me make the point. I have the floor now. The Kalakuta Republic was a safe way for some runaways. Different reasons. I'm not going to get into all that. We probably need a whole week to do all that. But it was a safe way for some runaways. People tell their friends, if you need a place to stay, come with me. Fela will take you in. Fela took everybody in that came. Nobody ever gets turned away. We need to continue to emphasize that part of Fela. Fela was a humanitarian. We got to get that right. And to get to your point, Tom, I met Fela. I'm sure Sandra must know Iyamari. Iyamari lived on West.
Yes, I knew that.
Iyamari lived next door to my brother in Lagos. And one day I was visiting my brother, and here was this gentleman dishing out the Nigerian pounds in those days.
Yes.
I was standing there. This gentleman gave me £5. £5 was a lot of money in 1968.
Yes.
I've never forgotten that, and I probably would never forget that. Let me make one point quickly, Tom, and I'll turn it back to you. Chinua Achebe said the truest test of integrity is the blunt refusal to be compromised.
True.
If you want me to repeat that, Chinua Achebe, you all know Chinua Achebe?
No.
Most people here should know Chinua Achebe. They do. I know they do.
Well, raise your
He was the
hand,
most
those that
do you know Chinua Achebe? Please raise your hand. Let me see a lot of hands go up. Things fall apart. He was the most read in most colleges here. Chinua Achebe said the truest test of integrity is the blunt refusal to be compromised. Fela refused to be compromised till the end.
True.
I want to, one of the things, you know, it's funny. You read the book, you see the film, you usually don't like the film as much because the book was better. I met Fela, I went to a lot of his shows, and I thought, oh God, a musical about this is going to be terrible. And it actually was really, really good. How many people saw the musical here? Yeah, it was good. Yes. But the particular, the way they did a sort of a medieval iconography of his mother. And she would be up in this thing that sort of like would glow, this icon would glow. Let's just talk a moment about this remarkable woman. She went to Moscow and got the Lenin Peace Prize. She was the first woman to drive, and she was the driving force, the inspiration for Fela.
Yeah, you know, and she even met Mao Zedong too. So I had the opportunity to stay in the family home in Abeokuta. And like Ade said, and it's true, Fela was the living proof of what it is to be a humanitarian. And a lot of people came to Kalakuta for freedom, running away from traditions and cultural things that I know I wouldn't have gone through it. I would have been one of those that if I had been born in Nigeria with the mindset I had, I would have been tearing down the walls to get inside of Kalakuta. I don't know how different people came inside of Kalakuta, but I know Kalakuta was a wonderful place to live. It was a commune. that was 24 hours a day, and everybody had a job inside of Kalakuta.
Thank you.
Everybody had a job there.
Was
He
it
got paid. He got
Yes.
paid well.
You got the work.
was it difficult to share Fela with his other wives?
For me, it was very difficult because I come from monogamy, and there was polygamy, and so it was new to me, but I was trying to have an open mind because I wanted to know the culture, and you can't go in with your baggage if you want to learn. So I was open, but I knew that there was a boundary and a limit for me, so I limited myself. And you know, Fela kind of helped me too with all those other women.
I want to ask you about two songs, and I remember the fun we had on Morning Becomes Eclectic when I was host of it every day, of playing ITT, which of course is International Telephone and Telegraph, but became International Teef Teef.
Yes.
And then recently, there is a song by Fela Kuti called IMF,
Right.
which is International Motherfucker. Talk to us about this, because they say that
Shake your head.
the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree.
Oh, but wait. Before you go there, Ade, I never knew you knew Yameri. Yameri was my nemesis. Yameri, see, when I met Fela, here in America, and afterwards, I you know, it was a while before I got to know about these other women because I thought it was just me, you know? But then I had the rude awakening of Yameri and Eunice. And I remember being in Nigeria in love with Fela, and Yameri was pregnant with Kunle.
I actually took Kunle's first birthday pictures.
Oh, see, so this man know me better than I know him. I never knew that until today.
Because you never asked me, Sandra.
I didn't know.
We've known each other these years. You never asked me
I've
how
known
much
this
I
man
knew.
a long time, and I never knew
And
that
she didn't know
Yameri.
She didn't know I know Yameri.
Wow. Well, where is Yameri now?
I have no idea, honey.
Really?
I don't know.
Let me go back to ITT
Well,
first.
you know, we're having a reunion here.
It sounds like
It's a reunion and some dish too.
So I want to ask you, in ITT, Fela actually names names.
Yes, he does.
He names the president of Nigeria, and I mean, why wasn't he? Well, we saw what happened to him, but
ITT, Fela named Obasanjo and Abiola.
Uh-huh.
Abiola was the chairman of Nigerian Telegraph and Telecommunication. Hence, the song ITT, International Teef Teef. If you listen to the end of the song, he's going to say, like Obasanjo and Abiola,
Right.
International Teef Teef. He actually named names. Remember what I said earlier, Tom? Fela does not compromise. I am of the opinion you can blame people for what they do, what they say. One thing you cannot blame them for is the way they feel. The way Fela feels is the way he puts in his song. That's his feeling. He never compromised that till the end.
Nope.
it sort of seems to me that Cheyenne has kind of picked up the
Cheyenne is more
much
like
more than Femi seems to, well, bang, bang, bang,
Oh,
and
no.
love songs and
No.
this and that, but it seems like Cheyenne has the fire burning.
Cheyenne is the one who grew up in Kalakuta Republic. Femi was there when it was just the family home, but Cheyenne is more like Fela. I remember in 2006 going back to Nigeria with the Snoop Dogg, and I do mean Snoop, for this big concert that America, presented in Nigeria. But you know what the sad part about it? And that's when I wrote the song Nigeria on my CD entitled Nigeria. I was really, really, really taken aback and really disappointed because only the elite could attend that concert. But what was I saying? What was I telling you? I was about to tell you something. What about the concert? Okay, well, it was Snoop's concert, and then it wasn't Snoop's concert, but he was a headliner. Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Jay-Z did a terrible thing in South Africa, you know. But anyway, it was a big thing. It was a big thing in Africa. And the sad part that hurt me the most was the amount of money that was spent. You know, that bothered me a great deal, and that very much went against all of Fela's teachings.
Go ahead.
Two things. When Femi lived with Fela with the mother,
Right.
he was protected. Fela was not as bad as... Fela has always been a bad boy. But he took it to another level by the time he married those 27 women.
Right.
Sheon was there.
Yes.
Sheon was exposed to every bad thing Fela that a father can ever show a child.
Well, I wouldn't say bad thing. It was just
Sandra.
it was a real thing.
Sandra.
He wasn't like, well,
Femi broke away before his father died. So he has established himself way before his father died. It's different from Shehu.
Like I said earlier, the exposure, Femi was protected from all those things that Sheon grew up with.
well, yeah, Sheon had the raw, all of it. But
Sheon got everything.
yeah, Sheon got everything.
Yes.
But in the chaos and all, there was some, I guess you could say some form of normal because,
Normalcy.
no, okay, wait a minute. Remember, Fintola was his mother. Fintola protected her child. And there were other people in the house that looked after Sheon. But Sheon, yes, he got a raw, some heavy lessons. And he's a beautiful person today. Sheon is very much like Fela. He's more like Fela.
Looks more like Fela than anybody else.
Let me tell you, mentioning 2006 again, when I was there in 2006, I got there just in time to get there late. And I'm looking at, as I'm coming in, I wanted to see Sheon. So on the monitor, I see this man, and this man looks so much like Fela. The movements are like Fela. Everything is like Fela. And I'm like, it was Sheon. But see, I hadn't seen Sheon since he was a small baby.
He was 9 the last time Fela brought him on stage at UCLA. A picture of Sheon playing as UCLA.
Wow.
I'm not showing him the picture. I'm going to show him.
I got a bone with you, okay?
Wait. I want to bring up James Brown. James Brown in 1970 had a song, Say It Out Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud.
Right.
And I went to Africa, and it's my understanding is that it was very popular. Tell us about the influence of James Brown, both the attitude, the uncompromising, as well as the baritone saxophone, the whole row of sax, and just that big wall of sound.
Okay, well, let me tell you what I know personally. I know that Fela had told me about Gerald Pino, who the Nigerians were falling in love with the band and the music, who was only copying James Brown.
That would be Geraldo Pino.
Yes.
A gentleman from Sierra Leone called Geraldo Pino.
Right. And, you know, Fela wanted to have his band on that level because Gerald Pino was up there and Fela hadn't got there yet, so he came here to America. But when he was here in America, you know, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud was playing and everything, but I never found him saying, oh, I've got to go see James Brown or anything like that. He was always trying to hang out at the jazz clubs. That's where Fela and I would hang out. When he wasn't playing and struggling, we were going to jazz clubs here all over Los Angeles. But everybody wants to say James Brown and Fela. Even the first promoter that I took to Europe to meet Fela, her description of Fela's band was, who is this African musician that sounds like James Brown? And I was like, no, that is not it. So.
What about Fela's father? I remember Fela telling me that his father was a stern minister who kicked his ass.
That's true. And his mother too.
You don't hear too much about
Reverend Fela Kuti. He was a disciplinarian, very religious. They pray in the morning, they pray before lunch, they pray before dinner, they pray before bedtime, they have to read Bibles. Fela found those things very difficult to follow.
Yes.
But he had to. He had to. That's Professor Ransom Kuti. He was a reverend. He actually started the educational system of the then Western region. It befell upon him to start the educational system in the Western region of Nigeria.
I also want to ask about Professor Hindu, because I remember Roger Steffens coming into the studio with the newspaper with the picture of the guy getting his throat slashed and then being brought up. And apparently the first thing he did after he was brought up out of the ground after 3 days or 2 days or whatever it was to shake the dust off. He saw a young woman and said, "Come on, let's dance." And she screamed and ran away. I mean, was this a total fake, or was it real?
Maybe Sandra knows about Hindu, I don't.
That I did meet Hindu. And like Sewa, because it was Sewa who introduced Hindu to Fela. But I was like, I don't know about this Hindu guy, But I do know that Vivian Goldman was in the audience that night. Do you know how many criminals was in there? They witnessed the murder and nobody said anything? Now that's the ironic part. They witnessed the murder, although the man wasn't murdered. He was, you saw what happened. But they got him up 3 days later. So can you imagine not going to the police?
Was it all big fake? Was it
who knows?
Sleight of hand?
Honestly, Tom, I don't know.
I don't know either. Susan, I'm gonna tell you, Vivian Goldman was there. You need to ask Vivian Goldman because she was a witness. She was an eyewitness at the scene. Yeah, but I thought this was a Q&A.
We're just about out of time. Do we have any closing thoughts about everything we've seen?
Afrobeat will never die.
All right. I want to get to the good
Afrobeat
part.
forever.
I want to know what the audience thought of the film, and I see a hand. What is it?
Wait, thank you very much. First of all, for introducing me to film. Thank you very, very much for that. But, Brother Sherwin, I'm going to say in Fela's house, 3 years old carrying a sack. Shall raise him to be the one that carries to the next level. And he will. Okay? But he spoke truth to power. The thing that I want people to know about Fela is he is a master teacher. Fela could take somebody off the street and in 2 days have them playing an instrument that it would take years to get somebody to have it up. So that band, when that band walked off in Berlin and came, and then he had a show in 3 days. And that show, he didn't cancel. He trained the next level and brought it up. The other thing is speaking truth to power. Obasanjo and Abiola were both from Ade James.
Yes.
So he felt betrayed that his own people could get into power and then do like they did and teach people corruption. That's all I.
Thank you.
I think we're just about out of time.
Well, I see him blinking and flashing the lights.
Well, at 10 o'clock is rapidly coming.
Yes,
Yes, I noticed one thing. I think Bill T. Jones maybe over-personalized it a little bit. I think it's a little bit off. And I think there was something very important that I noticed that happened. And Bill T. Jones actually seriously misinterpreted it. When, I think it has something to do with it could carry people's interpretation in the wrong direction. When he was bringing on the women and he put her head down like that, they made it seem like biggest compliment that you can do to a woman that's dancing. When they do the hip like this, when you're dancing, you know, I've been to a lot of different parts of Africa, when you dance, and you are like really, you know, it's like you're one of the best.
Right.
They will come, and even the ones that take your head, they come and bend yours.
So did you hear that?
And he misinterpreted that.
Did you hear that?
He was treating a woman as if you, and he kept calling you queen. Is that not enough?
Okay, did you hear what this lady said, and I'm going to repeat it, that it's a cultural thing, that Bill T. Jones misinterpreted. Taking a woman's head and bowing it is exalting her. And from the Western world, you know, that's why when cultures come together, you need to understand before you try to draw from your frame of reference and push your ideas on another culture.
I'm afraid we're out of time, but I would like to thank my two panelists. Thank you for coming. Thanks to Instant Project.
And thank you.
Everybody that put this on. Thanks for coming out.
And please tell your friends about the movie. Let
Finding
them buy
Fela.
a ticket and go and see Finding Fela. Please, let's keep Fela's legacy going.
I think